The rains no longer fall as they used to. The land is drying, and the shea trees, the backbone of women's income in northern Ghana, are dying. Now, the same women who once lived off these trees are struggling for survival in Ghana's cities. Mariam Hadi is a former shea nut collector.
Initially, picking shea nut was a profitable venture for me, generating between 500 and 1,000 cedis monthly. However, the business I invested in didn't thrive due to the decline of the shea nut industry. As a result, I had to relocate to Kumasi and take up work as a porter to make ends meet.
Mariam is one of thousands once shea nut collectors, now head porters, working long hours for very little.
What I'm doing here is tough. Back home, being a shea nut collector was good.
3 young women, 3 different communities, but the same reason for leaving home. The shea trees no longer fruit. Mariam Isako is another former shea collector. Mariam has left her husband and children back home.
Carrying heavy loads can cause neck and body pains, although some days you might be fortunate and get a lighter load.
My name is Suleimana.
My name is Suleimana Mariam. The work here is difficult, but shea nut collection was a lucrative business. The problem is they are scarce now.
Scientists say the problem is deeper than poverty. The weather is changing and the trees cannot survive. Dr. Regina Tang Guru is the head of Forest and Climate Change Division at the CSIR Forestry Research Institute of Ghana.
Increased temperature and reduced rainfall, which is drought, are definitely going to have a stress on the plant, and that affects various physiological properties of the tree. In terms of its growth, in terms of its fruiting patterns, we've already talked about the yields. So these are some of the stresses that we can expect. And of course, if we also talk about global warming and climate change, these also lead to increased buildup of dry biomass. And when you have increased buildup of dry biomass, you also end up having more, what we expect as more risk of wildfires. And so the wildfires also tend to affect the trees and bring an added layer of stress for tree growth and tree productivity.
Dry biomass and wildfires now destroy huge stretches of shea trees every year. Experts warn the social impact could be severe. Dr. Guru again.
You know, the shea tree is one of the most important for the people of the savannah. People rely on it to gain some income. So if we do not pay attention to it and actually improve on the shea value chain, what is going to happen is that we can expect more serious negative economic consequences for the people, and that will also mean that more people will be faced with economic challenges, vulnerabilities, and that could lead to more migrations than we are currently seeing.
The journey south brings its own dangers, harassment, poor sanitation, and hunger. Shamsia Isa is one of the leaders of the head porters.
May the land once again be fruitful with an abundance of shea nut and locust beans, allowing our communities to flourish. This would enable us to preserve our dignity and avoid the difficulties we are currently facing.
Some of these young porters carry loads that far exceed their physical capacity, and despite their hard work, the mega earnings often aren't enough to afford proper meals. To make matters worse, some are vulnerable to robbery or exploitation. As a community, we often have to supplement their earnings to ensure they can buy food. We are humbly appealing to the relevant stakeholders to intervene and address this issue so these children don't have to resort to head portering as a means of survival.
The shea tree is often called women's gold. It feeds homes across the north and supports nearly 1 million Ghanaian women. Across Africa, 60 million women depend on it. But today, the women's gold is disappearing. In Tamale, groups like the Savannah Women Integrated Development Agency are helping women learn new skills. Hajia Alima Sajito is the executive director.
We have been in communities where you can hardly count 10, 15 young girls. They've gone. So it's a real thing. It's happening.
Clement Matumasin is the executive director of Dream Village. Clement's team promotes regenerative agriculture, restoring soil, biodiversity, and livelihoods.
What needs to be done specifically will be policy changes, that we make general policies. We know that some of these policies are already in existence, but enforcing them is a problem. So can we go back to the drawing board, work with the local community?
As the shea trees die, more women and girls will be forced to leave home. But with the right support, the trees can return, and so can the livelihoods of northern Ghana's women.
As a woman, I'm deeply troubled by the risks I'm facing here. The loss of shea nuts has pushed us into this predicament. We pray for the return of abundant shea fruit, which would enable us to restore our pride and dignity.
This is a Joy News CDKN University of Ghana C3SS project with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund. A report by Nurudeen.